What's going on, everyone? Johnny Bandon here. If you've been enjoying the content, please hit that like and subscribe button. And today we're going over domain 3.3 of our Network Plus N10-009 video course. This is going to be a quick one. We're going to go over disaster recovery, the terms RPO, RTO, NTTR, MTBF, a bunch of acronyms that will definitely mess you up in the exam if you don't know what they are. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let me zoom my face out just a little bit here. I am not important for the success of your exam. Or really, my face isn't important. Okay, let's do it. So objectives, not too long of a video today. So not too much to go over, but it is important for your exam. Because you're going to see this. You take Sec Plus, CYSA, CASP, Cloud Plus. I think even Linux Plus. Maybe not. But these terms come up all the time. I'm sure they came up in A+. So let's go ahead and define them. So disaster recovery metrics. So the RPO, the recovery point objective. This is the maximum acceptable amount of data loss measured in time. So what we're talking about here is, okay, we synchronize, let's say, a storage area network or a database. And when we say synchronize, we mean maybe that's the backup point. Maybe we're taking incremental backups for 15 minutes of our database. So our RPO would probably be 15 minutes, right? Saying that, oh, if we go beyond 15 minutes of our database being down, that's a point of no return for us. We're going to lose too much data. So we have our backup point at 2:30, 2:45, and then an incident happens. Disaster happens, right? And then let's say at 3:10 disaster happens. That's our unrecoverable transactions. But our RPO is saying we got to be able to back up back to 2:45. And if we go beyond those 15 minutes, we've missed our recovery point objective, okay? So, for example, I'm going to read our definition now. If the RPO is 4 hours, the organization must ensure that the system can recover to a state no more than 4 hours old, okay? So just kind of like our example here, but it's 15 minutes. So that's data loss. So the RTO, recovery time objectives. So the RTO refers to the maximum allowable downtime after a disaster or failure before operations must resume. It's a measure of how quickly the system or service must be restored to avoid significant impact on the business. So RTOs help organizations define their DR strategies and invest in infrastructure that meets the required recovery speed, okay? So how long do we determine before things are overall for the business bad? Our RPO says when data is not recoverable, oh, like we've lost this data, right? This is our RPO objective. It's right there. But our RTO is saying, okay, if we go beyond this amount of time, the business cannot resume normal operations, okay? So our RTO kind of defines, and this is going to depend entirely on your enterprise, what, based off an asset inventory maybe you do, what kind of hardware, software you have. Is this an IT environment, an OT environment? And this is going to all come into play when we're defining the RTO for our business. And maybe the RTO is different for different systems. If we're an e-commerce platform, our e-commerce site RTO may be very small, a very small window, right? Compared to maybe a NAS sitting out in one of our outsites for our sales teams, right? Maybe if that NAS goes down for 24 hours, it's okay because our sales teams still have a OneDrive that they back things up to, right? Okay, then the MTTR and the MTBF. I'm going to read the definitions, then we're going to hit some whiteboard action to help go over this a little bit clearer. So the MTTR, the mean time to repair. This is the average time it takes to repair a system or device after a failure. It includes the time required to diagnose the problem, fix it, and restore the system to normal operation. So this is like this isn't saying, oh, you have to go through a lessons learned phase before, and that's part of the MTTR. No, this is part of the, oh, something happened, what happened, let's fix it, we're back online, okay? The mean time between failures, the MTBF, is the predicted average time between successive failures of a system. Server goes down June 1st, then October 1st, and February 1st. What's that average time? 4 months. We can expect the system to go down. And if that is one of your systems going down every 4 months, maybe look into that a little bit more, right? But if a server has an MTBF of 2 years, it is expected to operate for 2 years, normally without experiencing a failure. So let's go check out the whiteboard here. Okay. So let's say we look at a chart here. So we have our, let me get a bigger pen. Let's say we have our server. So this is our server here. And let's say June 1st at 06 in the morning, a disaster happens. We come down. Okay, I'm going to draw a timeline here. And then, still that day, June 1st, we come back up at 08. And now our system is back online. What's our MTTR for this? For this instance, what was our MTTR? 2 hours, right? So from 06 to 08, this happened. Now let's say, I'm going to copy this, paste it. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's say this happens again, but instead of June 1st, this happens, let's say December 1st. It goes down again. So between June and December, that was 6 months' time. So what's our mean time between failures here? In this isolated scenario, right? 6 months. Okay? And I misspelled months there. That's our mean time between failures. So that's the main difference between an MTTR and an MTBF. Mean time to repair was 2 hours here. It takes us 2 hours every time it comes down. But then it came down again December 1st, so that we can expect in another 6 months it may fail again. Okay, moving on. So now we're going to go over our DR sites. So our disaster recovery sites, this is on-prem, okay? When we talk about the cloud, that changes this a little bit. But either way, let's go over our DR sites. So we have data centers, and we want some redundancy for those data centers. What are our options? So Network Plus says there's 3 options. A cold site, which is a backup location that provides basic infrastructure, just the power, maybe some environmental, the space, right? It's like renting a data center and then being like, okay, we're not putting any equipment in here, right? Doesn't have any pre-installed hardware, software, or data. It's the least expensive option, and the recovery time is longer. So if we have a data center failure and we have a cold site, maybe this is taking us a week, okay? A warm site. A warm site includes some pre-installed hardware, so we have the data center, the environmental, the power, everything zoned out. Maybe we have the hardware up. Maybe the power cables are plugged in, but that's it. We still have to do some configuration. So this is moderately expensive, it's partial infrastructure, and it would be faster recovery than a cold site, but maybe this takes us 24 hours. Maybe at tops 48 hours. Then we have a hot site. You can think of this as just maybe the passive data center that's already in use. We have domain controllers there. We have our entire primary data center. We have a secondary data center that is currently online, and it's our COOP site, our continuity of operations site, that should be able to take over immediately, okay? Obviously, you double your cost here. A true hot site is it can take over immediately, or maybe users are already using that data center to authenticate. Maybe we have some authentication services there, like, domain controllers for Active Directory. And if site 1 goes down, which is our quote-unquote what we call our primary, we should automatically be able to change over. Now, obviously, in the IT world, that's a perfect scenario. There may be some downtime to our internal intranet enterprise users, but a hot site should be automatically. So minutes to, at the longest, hours, okay? The most minimal downtime. And I don't like that, hours, but again, just for testing purposes. Okay, other approaches to have some redundancy or availability. We have high availability approaches. So we have, let's say, active. So maybe that's where we have a web server farm and servers 1, 2, and 3 are active, receiving transmissions and replying, and they're active. They're actively being used. So in an active setup, 2 or more systems or data centers, right? We could talk about individual systems or an entire data center, are running simultaneously and sharing the load. You see this active is very common in high availability. As a network engineer, you set this up with wireless LAN controllers a lot. An active configuration, or maybe a hot standby would be active-passive. This setup is typically used in highly critical environments that cannot afford downtime. So no downtime, load sharing increases performance, maybe more expensive, maybe more complex to manage depending on what kind of environment you have, right? Maybe you're doing GLBP for your router's first hop redundancy protocols, and that would be active-active, where you have 3 active forwarders, but that's a more complex thing to troubleshoot and manage. Then we have active-passive. Same scenario with our wireless LAN controllers. This could be a hot standby, right? Where they have like all your access points database on the standby, but it's not actively doing it. Primary goes down. Those lightweight access points have CAPWAP tunnels immediately built to the standby, but that's only if the hot one goes down. So active passive. One system is active at handling traffic, while the passive system is on standby. It's ready, but it's not doing anything at the moment. Lower cost, a little bit simpler, right? It's just like a changeover, right? But maybe there's some downtime. If the active one goes down, you may notice a hiccup in your data, in your network. Okay, testing. Then we have some testing in our environments that we want to do, some tabletop exercises. This is a simulation where team members gather around a table, and that's why it's very, this term is exactly what it means. We sit around, we go over our roles, our responsibilities, and what we're going to do in theory. So that's all of us, all the stakeholders. This could be the entire company. The SOC, the NOC, the IT operations team, the development team, maybe representatives from finance, from marketing, from sales. Hey guys, if this happens, if our network or this incident goes down, what's your role? What's your role? You talk to the CFO. You tell, we'll handle this. Whatever it may be, a data breach, network team, this is what you need to do during a data breach. Put that in an isolation VLAN. Tabletop exercise. Validation test. This would be something that may be live, right? Validation tests involve actually testing disaster recovery plans in a controlled environment. Maybe we put in a maintenance window of 4 hours. We come in on the weekends. Maybe our enterprise works like that. Maybe not a lot of production happens on the weekends. And we can actually do like a live failover or actually say, hey, we have a data breach. What are we going to do, right? And actually drill it. So that is a validation test. All right, let's go ahead and do our quiz. Okay, so at our learning management system here, I'm going to click the Network Plus course. I'm going to come here to lessons. I'm going to go to our domain 3.3 lesson. And let's go ahead and take that quiz. I'm going to zoom in here. Okay, so question 1. Which of the following best describes an active-active high availability configuration? That's multiple systems running simultaneously, right? We're sharing that load. Question 2. What is the primary advantage of using a hot site for disaster recovery? It's not the most cost-effective, most expensive, but it should provide immediate failover and minimal downtime. Question 3. Which of the following defines the maximum amount of time that a system can be down after a failure or disaster? Amount of time, that's going to be our recovery time objective. Question 4. What is the main purpose of a cold site in disaster recovery planning? It's going to be C, to have basic infrastructure ready, but no hardware or data in place. Cold site, just you're renting out the space, it's got some HVAC and power, right? Maybe a rack. Question 5. What is the primary function of a tabletop exercise in disaster recovery planning? Just walking through the steps, right? It's not actual failover capabilities. We're just getting around talking about what would happen, what we would do. Question 6. If a system has a mean time between failure of 2 years, what does this indicate? That it's going to fail once every 2 years. All right, 100%. So I want to thank you guys for viewing. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends. Hit that bell to get notified when we upload a new video. And if you want access to our learning management system, to get all of our practice exam questions, bonus content, hit that link in the description below. Reach out to our team or purchase our self-paced course or live virtual training from our website. Thank you for viewing.